Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys are all having a great day so far. Before I get too deep in this video, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on your notifications. It really helps this channel out a lot. Thank you guys again for the continued support. It was a strange week this week in the NFL. We had a kick six and a flea flicker pick six all in the same game. They have numerous quarterbacks leading their team in rushing. I'll let you know which one's the most surprising in this video, so stay tuned. First game up is the Buffalo Bills and the Washington football team. Tyler Heinicke went 14 for 24, 212 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 INTs. The Washington football team running backs only had 54 yards total rushing. No one on the Washington football team had more than 4 receptions, and only Logan Thomas was targeted more than 4 times with 7. The Washington football team defense looked very vanilla after not getting a sack or turnover. The Bills quickly capitalized on all 3 turnovers. Josh Allen went 32 for 43, 358 yards with 4 touchdowns. Cole Beasley had himself a game by going on 13 targets, 11 receptions, and 98 yards. Emmanuel Sanders chipped in as well, going 5 for 6, 94 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Game number 2, the Chicago Bears took on the Cleveland Browns. Wait a minute. I need to get a moment of silence for Justin Fields. Alright. Justin Fields went 6 for 20 for 68 yards, and he netted 1 yard because he was sacked 9 times for 67 yards. This was abysmal for the entire Chicago Bears organization. Baker Mayfield got one of his friendly targets back in Odell Beckham Jr., and he reached the end zone once. Baker Mayfield went 19 for 31 for 246 yards. The Bears did sack Mayfield 5 times. Kareem Hunt compiled 150 all-purpose yards, and Odell caught 5 balls on 9 targets for 77 yards. And Nick Chubb pitched in 84 yards on the ground as the Browns moved to 2-1, and the Chicago Bears moved to 1-2 on the season. Game number 3 was the Indianapolis Colts versus the Tennessee Titans. The Colts were looking at trying to get off the slide and get their first win of the season. The Titans had other plans, however. Tannehill hasn't reached his MVP-like potential so far this season. He went 18 for 27, 188 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 2 picks. He was only sacked once. King Henry continued his dominance, and he ran for 113 yards on 28 carries. Although Tennessee got the win, Julio Jones and A.J. Brown only had 50 yards of total offense between the two of them. Carson Wentz was sacked twice, and he went 19 for 37, 178 yards, no INTs or no TDs. The lone offensive touchdown came from Naeem Hines. At this point, the Colts are of deep concern to me after falling to 0-3 on the season. Game number 4 was a showdown in the AFC West between the Chargers and the Chiefs. Normally I don't say this, but I think Herbert is starting to outplay Patrick Mahomes. Mahomes went 27 for 44, 251 yards with 3 touchdowns and 2 picks. He was sacked twice as well. Clyde Edwards-Helaire chipped in 100 yards on the ground, but had a fumble. The Chiefs turned the ball over 4 times, 2 INTs and 2 lost fumbles. The Chargers quickly pounced on the Chiefs time after time. Herbert went 26 for 38, 4 touchdowns, 275 yards, and was sacked once. He connected with Keenan Allen and Austin Eckler once, and he got 2 touchdowns from Mike Williams in this contest. The Chargers moving to 2-1, and the Chiefs are now 1-2 on the season. Game 5 is between the Saints and the Patriots. Both teams are post-Hall of Fame QBs in Breeze and Brady. In comes the new guys, Mac Jones for the New England Patriots and Jameis Winston for the New Orleans Saints. The Saints handled the pass in every aspect of the game. Their defense forced 3 INTs from the rookie Mac Jones. He was 30 for 51 with 270 yards through the air. The Saints defense stifled the run game as well. The top rusher was Mac Jones with 28 yards, doubling the next in line. Damian Harris, and James White had a total of 3 scrimmage yards. Winston went 13 for 21, 110 yards with 2 touchdowns. Alvin Kamara finished with 111 all-purpose yards and 1 receiving touchdown. The Saints moved to 2-1, while the Pack lose ground in the AFC East, dropping to 1-2. This was a battle of the unknowns. Both teams were winless in this contest. Coming in, the Dirty Birds and the G-Men together at MetLife Stadium. I was hoping that this game probably would end in a tie, just so they didn't get a win this week. You can call me a hater in the comments if you want. The Falcons sport Eli Day as his jersey number 10 was retired. Matt Ryan had an okay day with 243 yards, 2 touchdowns, no INTs, and 1 lost fumble. Cordero Patterson is continuing to be a proven asset for the Falcons, compiling 102 yards on offense. The G-Men made it easy for the Falcons. Daniel Jones passed for 266 yards, no touchdowns or interceptions. Saquon Barkley ran for a measly 51 yards and reached pay dirt once. His effort wasn't enough to get it done. They fall at home 17-14 to the Falcons. Game 7 lined up the Pittsburgh Steelers against the Cincinnati Bengals. This is a classic tale of little brother getting bigger than bigger brother and just straight trampling him. The Steelers came out trying to get Najee Harris involved. Harris had 14 carries and 14 catches. Yes, you heard that right, 14 and 14 for 142 all-purpose yards on the day. Claypool amassed 96-yard receiving but didn't find the end zone on the day. Instead, it was Pat Farmer getting the lone score from Ben Roethlisberger. Ben Roethlisberger went 38 for 58, 297 yards, and 2 INTs. Big Ben was also sacked 4 times. Joe Burrow was efficient in this contest, going 14 for 18, 172 yards with 3 touchdowns, 1 INT, no sacks. Joe Mixon did his part by pitching in 90 yards on the ground. Rookie Jamar Chase crossed the goal line twice on the day. He had 65 yards on 4 catches. The Steelers fall to 0-2 at Heinz Field and 1-2 on the year. The Bengals move into a 3-way tie for first place at 2-1 in the AFC North. Yikes. Game 8 is between the Cardinals and Jags. This is the wild game I was talking about. A flea flicker pick 6 and a kick 6. Yes, you heard that right. Trevor Lawrence was 22 for 34, 202 yards, 1 touchdown and 2 INTs. Jamal Agnew's 109-yard kick 6 was all for nothing. The Cardinals defense forced 4 turnovers, 2 INTs, and 2 fumble recoveries. They also got to Lawrence 3 times. Kyler Murray passed for 300 yards, but didn't register a passing touchdown. Murray had 2 100-yard receivers in A.J. Green and Christian Kirk. Chase Edmonds and James Conner went 22 for 69 yards, while Conner reached the end zone twice. The Cards prevailed 31-19 to stay unbeaten, while the Jags remained winless at 0-3. Game number 9 was between the undefeated Broncos and the winless Jets. Teddy B was effective again, going 19 for 25, 223 yards, and was sacked twice. The defense and the run game propelled Denver to victory in this one. Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams gained 90 yards on the ground and 2 touchdowns between them. Tim Patrick led the charge for the receiving corps, getting 98 yards through the air. At this point, I'm going to start a GoFundMe for Zach Wilson because I just think it's unfair what's happening to him. Between the sacks and the interceptions, I just don't know how he's going to continue. The Jets have caused too much heartache and pain for this young man. He went 19 for 35, 119 yards, got sacked 5 times, and threw 2 picks. Wilson now has 2 touchdowns and 7 INTs on the season. The Jets fall to 0-3 after losing to the Broncos, while they stay undefeated at 3-0. Game number 10, the Las Vegas Raiders are continuing to roll right along after their big win against the Steelers last week. The visiting Dolphins look to spoil the early success. Jacoby Brissett passed for 197 yards and was sacked twice. Mike Gesicki and Jalen Waddle both caught over 80% of their targets. However, it wasn't enough for the Raiders. Derek Carr passed for 357 yards, 2 touchdowns and an INT. The Dolphins also got to him for three times. The difference was Peyton Barber for the Las Vegas Raiders. He had 111 yards rushing and 1 touchdown on the ground. Carr also spread the ball around, having 4 receivers over 50 yards and multiple targets. The Raiders moved to 3-0 after besting the Dolphins in overtime, 31-28. The Dolphins moved to 1-2 on the year, while the Las Vegas Raiders remained undefeated. Game number 11, the Los Angeles Rams are having quite the season so far. This week they take on the high-powered Bucs of Tampa Bay. Brady did all he could to outlast the Rams. He went 41 for 55, 411 yards, 1 touchdown, and was sacked 3 times. Tom Brady was also the leading rusher with 14 yards for his team. That's right. Tom Brady can run that thing, y'all. Put him in the I formation. Let's go, Tom. Surprisingly, neither team had a turnover in this one with the high-powered defenses that they have as well. Stafford went 27 for 38, 331 yards, 4 touchdowns, no INTs, and was sacked once. Deshaun Jackson found the end zone on a 75-yard strike, and Cooper Kupp visited celebration zone twice. Sonny Michel pitched in 67 yards on the ground as the Los Angeles Rams stay undefeated, and Tampa Bay moves to 2-1 on the season. Game 12 brought the Seattle Seahawks to Minnesota to take on their Vikings. Seattle apparently left their defense in Seattle as Kirk Cousins torched them through the air in the first half. Cousins amassed 3 touchdowns in the first half. He finished the game 30 for 38, 313 yards, and Dalvin Cook was sidelined, but Madison came in and led the charge on the ground with 112 yards on 26 carries. He also caught 6 passes for 59 yards. Justin Jefferson visited the end zone again after gaining 9 receptions for 118 yards on 12 targets. Russell Wilson had a lackluster evening, gaining 283 yards for 1 touchdown. He was also sacked twice. Chris Carson and DK Metcalf both pitched in a touchdown each. The Vikings win this one easily, 30-17, getting off the snide and getting their first win of the season. The Hawks find themselves at a crossroad at 1-2. Game 13 was the Sunday night game between the San Francisco 49ers and the Green Bay Packers. Aaron Rodgers quickly went to work on the Niners defense. He went 23 for 33 for 253 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 sack. Aaron Jones came back down to the Earth atmosphere this week after his 4th touchdown performance on Monday night against Detroit. He accounted for 82 yards and a touchdown. Devontae Adams was targeted 18 times, rendering 12 catches for 132 yards. Him and MBS both caught a passing touchdown. On the other side, Jimmy G went from 25 for 40, 231, 2 touchdowns, and 1 INT. He was sacked 4 times as well. The 49ers run game was nullified, compiling 67 yards and 1 late touchdown. The time of possession in this one was nearly even, as it was a difference of only 16 seconds in favor of Green Bay. The Niners are knocked from the undefeated ranks and are now 2-1, while Green Bay get back on the top in the NFC North at 2-1. The last game of the week was the Monday Night Football game between the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles. The Dallas Cowboys handed the Eagles their 2nd loss of the season. Dak Prescott went 21 for 26, 220 yards, 3 touchdowns, and was sacked 4 times. Ezekiel Elliott returned to his old self, running the ball for 17 carries, 95 yards, and 2 touchdowns. On the other side, Philadelphia Eagles, Jalen Hurts went 25 for 39, 2 touchdowns, 2 INTs, 303 yards. He was sacked twice. Philadelphia Eagles struggled to get the run game going as they fall 41-21 at the hands of the Dallas Cowboys.